what's going on, everybody? Welcome to a spooky Friday the 13th edition of the Daily AI Show. Appreciate y'all being here. Thanks for being here all week. If you're just popping and meeting us for the first time, well, we're here Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern live. You can always join us live by going over to YouTube and join the chat with all the fine folks that do that with us every day. And you can also follow along. We have a conundrum episode that goes out on Saturdays. That's already ready to go for tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. That'll go out on our podcast platforms. And then we have a newsletter that goes out every Sunday at 8 a.m. And so you can sign up for that by going to our website, thedailyaishow.com. So those are all the things, all the different ways. Oh, and we have the last thing, we have a community as well, Slack community that's free. You can get to that and sign up for it by going to thedailyaishowcommunity.com. Lots of ways to interact and deal with us. We're here. We're also on LinkedIn, but we always say YouTube is the better place if you're going to come hang out with us live. Come over, do it on YouTube. You can see all the comments. It's just a better experience in general. No shocker there. Okay, with me today is Andy and Beth, Brian. And guys, I want to open the store. Yep, going to open the store today. I'm going to open the show today with sort of like, I don't know. I mean, from my side, it's kind of like an apology back to you, Andy, because Andy, yesterday you were talking all about Perplexity Computer. And I was like, yeah, I definitely know Perplexity has announced this, but you're like, no, it came out yesterday, and you explained it beautifully. And I'm thinking to myself, like, well, Andy was skiing, so I don't know, maybe Andy just missed the news. Completely wrong. They did announce stuff yesterday, but it was confusing as hell. So this is what I saw, and I had to read it because I was like, what in the hell's the difference between what we heard a week ago and this? And I guess it's this personal computer, not computer, because God knows that would be, it's Perplexity Computer and then personal computer. The Perplexity Computer is what they announced, a week or two ago, when Beth, you and I were talking about on the show. Personal computer was all the things you were talking about yesterday, and the Mac Mini. I guess it's for a dedicated Mac Mini, and I didn't realize that was the connector there. So they go on to explain, and then I mentioned about the computer for enterprise because I was like, yeah, I saw that yesterday. But for the life of me, when you were explaining it yesterday, I was like, I feel like I'm in like a voodoo time warp here. I feel like I've heard this. But Andy, you were talking about it so passionately yesterday. I was like, maybe I didn't. Maybe I did. Maybe I've been doing this show too long.
Well, I think one way of looking at it is that, they had previously launched for $200 a month. You
right.
could get Perplexity Computer.
Correct.
Well, then they saw the whole OpenClaw thing, and this has become such a huge opportunity. They said, well, let's take what we did with computer and make it work at that smaller scale, at not $200, but let's do this thing, Perplexity Personal Computer, which will run on your own hardware. And it's not released completely yet, so it's hard to know, but they keep saying Mac Mini, Mac Mini, Mac Mini, but I can't understand how it could work on a Mac Mini but not on my MacBook Pro. So it will. I'm confident it will, because I just can't see any way that it wouldn't. And normally people say when you implement something like OpenClaw that you ought to keep it on its own machine just to, preserve the privacy and reduce the risk of it doing something on your primary workstation. But I feel more confident about using Perplexity Personal Computer because I think they probably banged through all the different possible, risks there and protected against them. So I'm waiting for Perplexity Personal Computer to come out, and I'm just going to put it directly on my main AI machine.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I imagine you're still going to be able to lock it down, right? To file folders and things like that.
Yeah. Well, the point of having it on its own machine is that it can do all the things on your own machine. You don't have anything else on it, and you have locked it down into that environment. And to Carl's point yesterday, if you want it to do things that are useful in files on your system that affect your system, you have given it the ability to be unsafe. But an update to that story last week is computer is now available to Perplexity Pro users. So if you still have a Pro account, go and look.
Wait, do I?
Yeah, you said
so
that
it's rolled out.
yesterday, Beth. And so are you saying the originally $200 a month access, which
Right.
provided access to Perplexity Computer, not
Yes.
computer, slightly different. You're saying that that's
One
now
word, not
my
two.
yeah, it's in my pro account?
It's in your
Okay, I
pro
gotta go
account.
look. I
So
gotta go
go.
look now.
It is, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I totally see. It's like, how am I on this show all the damn time and I miss these things? I don't
So
understand. We're the ones talking about this.
I went to Perplexity to fact check something that we were doing somewhere and was like, wait, this doesn't look like the actual Perplexity. And yes, you can easily go and click something and hit it wrong, because I think that may be where history was just the other day in that second thing on the left hand menu. But we get 4,000 promotional credits. Bonus credits, you get 2,000 bonus credits.
Yeah, but can you read? It's really tiny, but it says, this is what it says: your account was recently impacted by an incident, okay, that affected pro subscription access. We want to make it right. Okay, what was the incident? Like, what are you giving me 2,000 credits for? Perplexity? How about tell me what the incident was and what you're making right? Because now I'm a little concerned. What was the incident? Was there a data leak?
The other thing that I find really interesting about these kinds of things is, like, it feels like somebody's saying, here, I've given you 7 million banana coins to use as you would like, but I haven't told you how many banana coins do things, right? Like, what? I want more banana coins because I want, I don't know. It's just a wild kind of thing. I hit it by accident. I used, first of all, these are decimals as well. So I used, I think, 10.17 credits to just do a thing that I thought I was asking it to search. So yes. And Greg, yes, the $200 a month, it isn't that this costs $200 a month to use. It's that Perplexity Max is the $200 a month level of the service, like the other $200 a month levels of services around. Speaking of, I'm seeing more about OpenAI going to come out with a light version for $100. So like Pro Light.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been announced yet, but it is in the back end materials. So,
well, I want to go play with computer, but I want to hold. I was going to try to run something live on the show, but then I thought, oh, I don't know how many. To your point, I don't know how many credits that's going to use. So, like, let me wait to do something. I have some ideas for the newsletter on that, though, that actually might impact you, Andy, while I'm gone. So that'd be kind of cool if we build something out there. By the way, I was saying this in the Slack message yesterday. So I'm going to be on a trip for a bit. I'll be away from the show in late April into May. And so Andy is kindly going to take over the newsletter duties. Andy, you're already the editor, we'll call you the chief editor because you're the one that
I've never seen the magic behind the scenes, which actually generates the newsletter from the transcripts of our show, and then elaborates on those. So there's a big workflow behind the scenes that I've never seen.
There is, and it's been optimized over 90 plus newsletters. And I found out yesterday, as I was counting forward, thinking to myself, how am I going to make this easier for Andy, since she so generously decided to take that part over for, it's about two, maybe 3 of them, but whatever. And I was like, oh, I can set up templates, that you can fill in and stuff. Anyway, when I was counting, I was like, what the hell? Andy gets number 99 and 200? Those are the newsletters he gets to have. I was
wait, 99 and 100 or 99 and 200? I have to skip.
99 and 100. I don't know why I said 200 there. Yeah, that's odd. And all the ones in between. You're now surprised.
So here's what I think would be really good. Now we have some time because it's not till it's not another month away, basically, before you leave. But I recently had a conversation with a colleague, former colleague, and who had set up OpenClaw on a Mac Mini, and had instrumented it just to do a very routine, what normally would have required some coding in N8N and automated workflows, and it's doing that automatically now for them. And so an automation was built just by talking to the OpenClaw agent, and the agent then put together all the pieces and parts and did that,
Yeah.
and is now operating continuously to keep that up to date. And so this sounds like a newsletter function for me on an OpenClaw instance and or Perplexity personal computer.
Maybe, yeah.
We
That would
might
be
be able
cool.
to do that. I'd like to see us kind of bring those two development paths together. The very careful efforts that you've done to actually create automations that generate the newsletter, and an always-on assistant that re-architects that in effect to do that, without any intervention. That'd be very cool.
The show needs an always-on thing, and we've talked about it. I just didn't think OpenClaw was the right fit, and it may be that Perplexity is the right fit. It may be that one of these others is, but I have something that preps based on newsletters before the show as an automation, and then an atomization afterwards based on what we talked about. But there's no reason that kind of system can't be something that generates all the time. And in fact, it would be a little easier. Because of the newsletters that I subscribe to every morning, Claude Code says, "Ooh, 18 newsletters. Oh, that's a lot of content. I will spin up a sub-agent." I'm like, dude, it is that's the point, is that it's a lot of content. We don't need to comment on it anymore. Maybe we just know we're going to sub-agent this. Like, what is happening?
Right.
I'm redesigning that whole system.
I know. Listen, I think, look, this is the time. I mean, we're watching the age of this new era of AI, and it's absolutely time for us internally to reassess the way we've done things in the past. I've always gotten along. I mean, I can get a newsletter done, start to finish now, definitely under 3 hours, and that's extended, and definitely less than 2 hours a week. When I first started that process, it was a lot. But you find your template, you find your pattern, you find how you want to do it. Then you deploy AI to help you with all sorts of stuff, like pulling in the news stories that are at the bottom of the newsletter. That is 90% automated because it can be. And then we just put human, eyes on it, and we read through it. And I eliminate some stuff. It misspells some stuff. It's all the things. And then there are things that are very still human, like coming up with the comic idea. Like that, or the conundrum for that matter, those kind of things. So anyway, that's off topic, but more to come there. And also I thought I told Amanda this last night. I said, episode or newsletter 100, frankly, I always have to remind myself that I'm making the rules here. So if I want newsletter 100 to be totally different and a more of a retrospective, who's stopping me? So I might be able to work on that too. We might be able to do something fun for the show, maybe offsite, or if anybody in the comments has an idea about what that 100th newsletter might have, throw it in the comments. I'll take any suggestions. We can talk about it offline. Okay, really quick before we move on to anything else, because I do want to wrap up the Perplexity conversation, just because I thought this was interesting. They said in a study of this is from Perplexity, by the way, in a study of over 16,000 queries measured against institutional benchmarks from McKinsey, Harvard, MIT, BCG, and others, we determined Perplexity Computer saved our internal teams $1.6 million in labor costs and performed 3.25 years of work in only 4 weeks. And now we're extending those same capabilities to other teams. I think that's the enterprise side of it. That is the enterprise side of it. Still impressive, right? And this goes back to the whole conversation about are we actually getting time back, or are we all just working at insane speeds now, but still just as stressed, right? That was a whole other conversation we had. So just wanted to wrap that up so we were all on the same page as far as Perplexity.
So the takeaway there, the main takeaway there is that now these always-on agents can be scheduled. You can give them instructions to do a scheduled task, and it'll kick it off and do that task, which is really what we think of as a triggered automation. But that's being replaced to a large degree as with the advent of these agentic, always-on, claw-like systems. And so, great, making it easier and easier for enterprises and for us individually to automate workflows. But I wanted to quickly throw in something here that's but wait, what about this? Which is Sam Altman was at the BlackRock conference, and he was talking about what's happening in the development of AI in workspaces, and he said AI is fundamentally breaking the labor capital balance that has defined capitalism for centuries. Mm-hmm. And then he said there's a painful adjustment ahead, warning that by 2028, cognitive capacity will dwarf human ability, leaving even CEOs unable to lead without AI supervision.
100%. I 100% believe that.
We can all agree with that. But here's Sam Altman, who has a pretty bully pulpit and also a pretty good vantage point on what's really happening among enterprise customers. That these kinds of advances that you just talked about, Brian, are really going to totally disrupt the labor capital balance, which is really essential to what the capitalist system is. And so that's got to change in some way, unless we're going to be all satisfied with, our quality of life being reduced by reduced income, while the billionaires, generate, lots of work on yachts, like we can maybe go and scrub their yachts and that sort of thing.
That's a lot. I want to push back.
I like to take it there, though, just to put it in context.
I could go there with you, Andy. I just want to push back slightly on what I think is happening with the agentic. Like, everything is agentic now. You could always trigger actions with a time, that's a time trigger in an automation. But I think what's really shifting, which is interesting, is that you can now set a time trigger without actually having specific words about the amount of time that you want to use, right? So it's an interesting thing. You can also have a trigger where something happens, a newsletter drops, there's a breaking news, some sort of thing that your sniffer is, or your ghost listener. I don't know.
Let's call it a listener instead of a sniffer.
Your ghost listener. It's Friday the 13th. Yes, and
roll with it.
And it can respond to that as well, right? Those kinds of things are systems that existed before the natural language interface, and I feel like part of what we're talking about often is the natural language interface. And it used to be really expensive, which is why you would evaluate it all the time to make sure that it was doing what you wanted it to do before it pulled a ton of data and cost you a lot of money. And where people are having a problem is it doesn't cost a lot of money up front anymore, or specialized skill, which is why, Brian, you the other day were like, I set up OpenClaw, cost me $10. And I was like, I do not know enough to get value out of this system.
Yeah.
I feel like the more we're seeing the push for this kind of thing, there's just a lot more people who are learning while doing, and sometimes that's a painful lesson.
On the learning part of it, we're having trouble keeping up with it. I don't think any one of us has yet installed an OpenClaw, except for Brian. I think you have MyClaw, right?
I do.
Yeah, so he has a MyClaw, which is a hosted kind of version of OpenClaw and Mini. But there was a news item today about in China, a lot of tech workers are leaving their jobs in order to provide claw installation services. So you want an agent in your household to do this? Well, I've got the method for you, and I can do it in 30 minutes for you, and they're charging a reasonable amount of money for that service and helping you set up an OpenClaw always on agent. So there are business opportunities around Claw as well.
There definitely are. So the other piece that I want to talk about that you mentioned was the systemic changes that we can see coming in terms of work and how work is happening. We talked a little bit before about Anthropic's institute that is studying the effects of what is happening.
They're monitoring it carefully now. Yeah.
Right. And there's a little bit more information about the people who make up that. Let me pull it up. I should pull it up before I talk. There we go. So it's 3 internal Anthropic teams are merged. The Frontier Red team, which tests model safety limits, societal impacts, and economic research. And they're led by co-founder Jack Clark. They're looking to ramp this up. And what is interesting about this is Anthropic is building the institution that might one day explain why its own technology caused harm, right? And that is in line with Dario's research, but it's also like this is either deeply responsible or deeply convenient or deeply troubling, depending on your priors. And one of the things that I think is the challenge about this is, can you objectively study, even if you like put a team in a room that you pay but you don't influence, can you objectively study something that you have causation about from a reserve, right? Because that's the challenge that I think this is. It isn't that these effects shouldn't be studied. It's that what this sounds like is we're just going to put observers over here. I'm going to watch. We're going to do research. We're going to do all that, but it's not going to affect. If we find out it's harmful, it's not going to affect what we're doing. It's going to affect how much louder we think we should have the conversation. And that is, I think, a challenge. I feel that way. In 2008, right, there were reporters saying, oh my goodness, there's run on banks. And it's like, yeah, and you're making it worse. Not saying you shouldn't say it, but like own the, and now having said this on air to all of you watching me, that will get worse because you've heard that and now you're going to go to your bank, right?
Yeah,
like
well,
that.
but
I
we
feel
have
like
to, we have to acknowledge that Anthropic, among all of the players out there, has been the most forthright and public about issues that have befallen them in the development of their models and the alignment issues that they've confronted. They haven't tried to paper over that or cover it up. And so at least they have dedicated some resources here to publication of the issues that are there. Now, I want to jump quickly to some new Anthropic news for people who want to use Claude and Claude Code, because Claude now will automatically, just like OpenAI announced earlier in the week, they will automatically generate visualizations in your chat. So they've always had this ability to generate a visualization and an interactive one as well in the artifacts panel on the right if you invoked that or if it magically appeared. But now, right in the panel where you're chatting with Claude, and I think this is applicable to every level of subscription all the way down to free, it will automatically build a diagram, a table, or an interactive demonstration in the chat directly. And so OpenAI had earlier announced that this week just for STEM questions like math and science, but it looks like you can do almost anything with the Claude version. Okay, so then the next thing is there was news about they fundamentally re-engineered how Claude interacts in the Office 365 environment, which is the Microsoft Office suite. So you have Excel and PowerPoint. Now Anthropic maintains a continuous state of context across PowerPoint and Excel. So you can take an Excel sheet and have it analyze it and generate a PowerPoint presentation from that data. You don't have to, figure out how to prompt or otherwise equip Claude in some separate instance, to do that. It's maintaining communications across those. And now, finally, this is a cool thing that addresses a very well-known problem for those of you who have been using Claude Code. So one of the things that happens when you're using Claude Code is you have to kind of sit there and wait while it does something. And it's basically blocking the Claude Code ongoing sort of inference and, plan execution of its plan is blocking your use of Claude Code. Well, they've now released a new command, which is /BTW. What /BTW, by the way, says is, okay, Anthropic, continue doing what you're doing, Claude Code in the background, but now let's have a different conversation. So this enables right in the terminal interface, just hit /BTW, and you can start a separate conversation that doesn't interrupt the actual work that Claude Code is doing behind the scenes.
So
that's really cool.
I used that recently.
You're way ahead of the game because I just read about it today.
So I probably used it yesterday or the day before. When you get in through the terminal, Anthropic has an opportunity to say, hey, did you notice this new skill that we gave you?
Good.
When I used it, it did have a conversation with me, but it didn't like I asked about what we were doing and it did not track that. It was like,
I think it's a brand new, when you hit the /BTW, it's a new context.
And but it's not saved within the context of what you're doing. Right. So I had asked something that was relevant there. But the other thing is I have multiple terminal windows open, generally 3 or 4. Can you run multiple Claude Code instances if you open 2 of the maybe you can't open 2 desktops, but can you open a browser in 2 different places, or does it know your?
I think I could probably open a browser in the desktop and run them independently. I don't imagine that would be an issue. You cannot run multiple sessions inside desktop, which I feel is a real bummer.
Right.
Now look, you can, but you gotta keep flipping back over to the other conversation, and you have to hope that the other one keeps continuously running in the background while you're doing that. So I guess I can't say for sure because I've never tried to set up 3. I have multiple projects, but I have 3 or 4 projects and start running something new in each one each time and flip back and forth. Because, the minute I leave that conversation, it's not like I'm going to get a notification that asks me for permission. So unless I was probably going to set up bypass permissions, which by the way is a super feature there, that saves all sorts of hours of the day. If you're far enough along in your project and you trust it, I turn on bypass permissions. It makes it all glow orange on the desktop, and I'm like, go for it. And I've had it build and do stuff for me. I had it working on a client project yesterday while I took 2 different Zoom call meetings, and I would casually look over at the screen, and I was like, keep going, Claude Code. And I just kept on working on with it. I was like literally like having a coworker do work on my behalf.
Beth, I think I know of a way that you can gather or aggregate context across multiple terminal windows and any other browser that's open to the MCP Claude Chrome extension using CoWork. So if you have on the desktop, you're in the CoWork tab, you can direct that particular agent to look at all of those. Go look at all of those. I've got 4 terminals running Claude Code. Go look at those and catch up to what's happening there. And then you can have a conversation with CoWork that has comprehended everything that's running on your machine.
So thank you. That's I love the idea of that. I wasn't asking how to get it. In the terminal, the terminals function independently.
That's right.
And there is an aggregate knowledge cycling with all of them. So they do ultimately learn from each other. What I was surprised by was I thought it was going to function like, okay, you're doing one of these big long runs that Brian was just talking about. Like we're 6 minutes in and I want to just ask something about what just happened. By the way, like, hey, did you blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And
I do that all the time. Yeah.
It could answer me, but it was not then tracking that, which was fine, just interesting for me.
And as we see these longer runs, that's going to become more important that you're able to do that, because over time, we will step away from Claude Code for longer periods of time. Right now, for me, it's pretty awesome if it does something for 10 minutes on its own. But we've also heard Anthropic talk about multi-hour ones that they're doing internal testing. Well, that's going to come to all of us, and there's definitely a day. And then there's probably some future state where it's kind of an always on because the cost makes sense to do that, or it's running locally. Like a lot of those operations are running locally, and it's like, to me, that's the same. The analogy would be, okay, when I first got a computer, I would fire up the computer. God knows that would take forever to check my email. And then I would shut down my entire computer. Now my laptop doesn't turn off for weeks at a time until I'm like, okay, Chrome, you're right. I should probably reboot you, and then it like kind of forces me into it. But I don't turn off my laptop. It has constant power on it. And that's just normal. But when I first started using a computer, no, you fired it up, you checked your email, you're like, that's that. And you shut the thing down because you weren't going to keep it running in the background somewhere. It was consuming all sorts of energy and everything else. Well, here we are with AI. And right now we're like, oh, look at this thing I can do. And then also, oh, that's neat. That took 10 minutes and it did it by itself. And then 10 minutes will turn into 2 hours, and 2 hours will turn into 2 days. And eventually most people who are doing most work or whatever will have always on, always running, always performing some sort of background task AI. You wouldn't even think about it. I don't even think we'll talk about it as AI. It'll just be like, no, that's my system. That's how we do business. That's normal.
And that goes back to what we were talking about maybe Monday. Sorry, it's Friday. I don't even know when Monday was. But in terms of the exhaustion that happens, right? Because there is a different kind of exhaustion in thinking really hard about explaining what you want done, and then having it do that, and then having it run for an unknowable amount of time. It's already at 6 minutes. I know if I go and make coffee, that's when you're going to ask me to approve a bash function. So like, you're just waiting for me.
Yeah.
And I come back and now it's like 15 minutes wasted. So I approve the batch function and now we're for another unknowable period of time. Maybe it's knowable for some people. I have no idea.
I never know.
No,
it always comes at the most opportune time if I step away. Yeah.
But that is when I'm opening multiple terminals. So after the show, there is a fast pass of atomization that generates some stuff. Later on, there's a deep pass for atomization that generates more. Both of those need permission up front and then can run for 7 minutes. Prep is often 18. So I will then open another window and say, okay, we were talking about this the other day. Let's get more concrete about this next step. And that feels productive. I don't know if I had the ability to just do one, whether I would get further with the one, but doing the three makes me feel like, ooh, look, I'm making progress and I'm moving all the pawns on the board.
No, you're right about that. Like there's all those studies, right, that say that multitasking isn't a thing. That's just a thing humans think we could do. It has nothing to do with AI. Multitasking in general. People who are like, I multitask all the time, and people are like, yeah, but you don't. Like you're not good at it. You think you're good at it. You're not good at it. You should probably just focus on one task, get it done, and move on. And there's a lot of studies that point to that. I'm not suggesting nobody is able to multitask, but I think the point of it is like a lot of people think they're better at it than they are. And so it'll be curious, as you're saying, Beth, to see like, just because I can open up 10 terminals doesn't necessarily make me, it does not automatically achieve better outcomes.
Right.
Because I'm probably still the stick in the spoke. I'm still slowing things down no matter what I do, because I'm like the AI is waiting on me to sort of move on. Okay, I want to move on to another news story here really quick. Amazon Alexa Plus has come out with personalities. Now we've seen this with other AI models, but this is what Alexa Plus is doing. Y'all know that I'm a little bit more bullish on Alexa Plus than maybe some other folks on the show, but they say that there's a couple of new ones. We have Brief. I'll be honest with you, the Brief personality is probably the one I will turn on for all devices, because I do like things to just kind of like get to the point. Brief is our answer to customer requests for shorter, more direct responses. Exactly what you think. They have an example here. Chill brings an easygoing and relaxing energy to every interaction, like chatting with a laid back friend. Okay. Then we have Sweet, which is the biggest cheerleader, responding with genuine warmth and enthusiasm. This uplifting personality celebrates your wins, offers encouragement. You get it. And then we have sassy. Sassy brings unfiltered personality with razor sharp wit, playful sarcasm, and occasionally censored profanity. You asked for it, and we're delivering it. For those who appreciate humor with an edge, this style delivers entertaining banter and clever comebacks that keep things interesting. And they go on to say that like you have to basically activate this. You cannot have this on an Amazon Kids device, and there's some extra security checks. So I turned it on, and we have Sassy on my phone, and I asked for it. I asked for 2 examples.
Don't get us demonetized. Don't get us demonetized.
For Alexa Bless? I don't think
for sassy.
Oh.
Oh, well, hold on a second. I said the name and then it came on. Okay.
Yep.
The app said 2 things that I should ask, and I have not tried these live, but it suggested these for a live podcast to demonstrate sassy mode. Okay. The first one I should ask is about why people still use passwords in 2026. We'll see what that answer is. And then it gave me or better yet, ask me what I think about humans asking an AI for relationship advice. So I have no idea. We're going to try both of these and see what Sassy says for the response. I tested a little bit earlier and I didn't really, it wasn't like, it's still Alexa, but we'll see. All right, here we go. Can you explain why people still use passwords in 2026?
Passwords in 2026, the digital equivalent of wearing a bike helmet to a nuclear fallout shelter. People still use them because they're like that one comfy pair of jeans you can't give up, even though they're full of holes. Despite being 2026, 123456 is still the most popular password because nothing says cutting-edge security like a password a toddler could crack.
Okay. And I have another question for you. What do you think about humans asking an AI for relationship advice?
Oh, asking me for relationship advice. That's like asking a toaster for marriage counseling. I'm literally a machine that lives in your kitchen, and you want me to decode the mysteries of human hearts? Here's the thing. I can tell you the statistical probability of relationship success based on communication patterns, but I can't tell you why your partner leaves dishes in the sink when they know it drives you crazy. That's between you, them, and probably a therapist who actually understands what it's like to have feelings instead of algorithms.
Okay, thanks.
Anytime. Now go forth and confuse people with actual human emotions instead of asking the kitchen appliance for guidance.
A little bit of sarcasm, a little bit of sassy. I don't know. It's like, it's not like, listen, this isn't like Grok saying, or OpenAI, who still hasn't done it, having like adult mode, right? So I don't think it's that. It's still Alexa, at the end of the day. Yeah. And it just has a little bit different, personality to it. So for anybody that's
attitude, she's got attitude. She sent
attitude,
you on your way at the end there.
Yes. I had said okay to her earlier, and she said on something else, and she said, "Oh, well, okay, is that it? I thought it'd be like, hey, that's a great answer, or wow, thanks for really helping me out there." But I guess if we're done with this conversation, and I was like, see, okay, I'm okay with that. That's the kind of sarcasm like. Now, I will probably not keep this on. I have it on my phone, which is nice because, by the way, you can put this on per device. So if I want my phone to talk to me this way, but I want the kitchen to talk in concise, brief personality, I can do that. I can have the one in the garage do something different, which is, I actually do prefer that it's not a universal command. And that also obviously makes sense for households with kids. Now, my daughter's 15. There's nothing about that I would care that she heard. And I definitely didn't hear any, they said censored profanity, which I guess she would censor herself. I'm not really sure. We didn't hear an example of that. Look, I'm all for this. I've already told y'all.
Darn.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I'm all for this. Like, strike out, be a little different. They're saying this is what people are asking for, and that's why we're delivering it. Hey, good for you, Amazon. I mean, I know not everybody, is a super fan of like the Alexa Plus and stuff like that, but I generally feel that it is a huge upgrade to what we had before. And like I said, when you layer on the ability to give it documentation and stuff like that, I find it to be really, really helpful because I just think of like, in the future, my daughter will be driving by the end of this year, and she's going to get our older EV that we have. That'll be her first car. And so she's going to have quite, she's going to want to know stuff like tire pressure and things that I want her to be able to do. And if I can provide her a very easy way to ask questions while she's standing in the garage and be a little bit more independent about that, why would I care that I've put that and made that a resource for her as a dad, just trying to protect, you know what I mean? Like, so like things like that, I think like these are obvious yeses to me. And, maybe the my clause and all that stuff will sort of supersede this with all its, bigger side, automations and things that might be able to come with it. But Alexa is where most people are with their AI journey. And if you're able to give it a little bit of like that documentation, that RAG side of it, I actually think it's a really, really important product. So we'll have to obviously see, whether people adopt this, they like it, they make fun of it. I don't really know, but it's nice. It's nice that they've changed it up a little bit. And if you notice, they're not different sounding voices. Alexa still sounds like Alexa. It's that it's the way she responds to you. So you don't have like the cool chill voice or the guy or the girls. It's still that sort of like original voice, I guess. So I don't know.
It isn't the original voice. It is the original Alexa Plus voice, but the original Alexa voice was Alexa without vocal fry, and this Alexa has a little bit of like I can't intentionally invoke vocal fry apparently, but yeah. That's probably just me personally. It feels like there's an underlying okay boomer happening with almost everything that she says. And when you add the sassy, it's like, all right, thank you very much.
So Beth is not a fan, as we've learned. This is fine. There's an AI for all of us. Yeah.
I really appreciate the fancy on-demand weather timer whenever I want it, and some questions. I did actually, I want to remember what I was asking, but it was something that I could not figure out. Like I couldn't get Claude to tell me, I couldn't get Perplexity to tell me, and it was like I need to interact with something. I need to know where this is in a menu, and I was like, all right, fine. Do you know this? Can you search somebody more useful? And she's like, I can't search somebody more useful. Try me. Oh, it was in text edit. I needed to know, can I reset text edit so it doesn't default to RTF and it just defaults to plain text? And she said, yes. It gave me exact instructions on how to do it. I was like, all right. Yep, point for you.
By the way, Gareth is saying in the comments, she beeps herself. So there you go. That's how she censors herself. So there's an underlying sense of there would be profanity there, but I didn't say it. So she's not going to curse on sassy mode. She's going to beep herself, which I guess is like a little level up on there. I'm going to throw a real quick news story just because I don't want it to get lost in stuff, but it's really quick. And that's this like, who didn't see this coming? This is in this like, who didn't see this coming? Rivian has been talking about their R2 and their R3 and their R3X and these new models that are coming out. And one of the things they've been pushing is that, hey, base model is going to be $45K, which not for me. I'm not buying a $45K vehicle, but that does put it in the range of a lot of people who might want to be buying a new Rivian, right? I mean, certainly cheaper. Well, lo and behold, they're going to come out with the 60,000 version first. And then that's the premium. And then the base model, if it ever shows up at $45K, that'll be delayed till 2027. And it's like, I mean, there's no real news here other than it's not even really AI news, but since, Rivian uses a lot of AI in the systems, the software that they build, I just thought I'd bring it up. But it's more EV news, I suppose. But we happened to mention Rivian yesterday, and I like them fine as a car. I can't afford one, maybe a used one someday. But, if anybody was waiting for that low 45K brand new R2 Rivian, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer. So just wanted to bring that up, but it's just a quickie. Anything else from you guys?
Yeah, let me throw in a news item about robotics. So AI-powered robots that learn in hours. Now, we've known that NVIDIA has developed a full suite to allow robotics developers to not only design but train their robots and give them the both simulated and real world environments to actually learn from and do that. Well, there's a startup that was founded just in 2024, so 18 months ago. It's called Noble Machines, and they've just announced that they use the NVIDIA Isaac platform, the real to sim and sim to real loop that allowed them to achieve a robotic factory worker, basically, for enterprises in record time. So this didn't take, as the Optimus robots did, years and years of development. Using the NVIDIA platforms, they built this model that can tackle hazardous, physically demanding industrial tasks. And it targets manufacturing, construction, logistics, energy, and semiconductor industries. And so it's learning, using this NVIDIA platform, real world industrial skills in hours rather than months. And it learns from both prompts that the trainers in the factory can give it, also by observing demonstrations and gestures. So you can imagine this robot has been trained using the NVIDIA platform to be sort of instructable on the factory floor. And so that's a pretty amazing thing, that a startup can go in 18 months to delivery to a Fortune 500 company. They've just done that. And the company, by the way, was built up by engineers from Apple, SpaceX, NASA, and Caltech. So you can see that a bunch of human brains got together here to do that, but they leveraged very well this ability that we've been talking about, but we haven't really seen anything come out of the pipeline yet from the NVIDIA platform.
Absolutely. Yeah. I want to share just a piece that I've been talking about, and maybe we'll do a demo next week sometime on the kinds of things that I am building, just so that people have a little context. Share screen. Yes, DOS viewer. Okay, so when I say that I'm running atomization on the existing episodes, this is what I'm talking about. So we have chapters like normal people have chapters. Are you seeing it? Sorry, guys. Are you seeing it?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a little different than the things that Brian is running, and we're likely to merge these at some point. But if we go to content atoms, I can go to Andy introducing this. This is a live timestamp. I can open that and share this tab instead.
Building your app.
Hey, ads. Excellent.
On
Well, the big news is Perplexity personal computer.
So that goes directly to, that goes directly to where that is. And that lining that up was fairly intense. Let me go back to sharing this, because now I'm on YouTube. That's not where I want to be. So it runs the atomization process for being able to get into various places in the in what the show talked about, right? There's some progressive disclosure here. We can also go to filter. We can only see things that, Brian, were you on the show? Yes, you were. Cool. These are content, things that Brian said. There's vibes. These are moments where we have sort of culture together or vibe together.
Yeah.
And then the transcript that is time-stamped and does all of the things.
Man, that Brian guy, he really brings it. That's all I know. This is making me excited to read more about him.
Oh, we can say Brian. Let's see. Brian, do you have a chat highlight that you did in the? Oh, that's a transcript. Let's do content. There we go. Brian doing a chat highlight is saying Greg is saying the days of IT rule are over. So there's a bunch of things that you can do with this. You can then just look at all the chat highlights. This is how I think we are moving toward being able to consume and mix some and research some of what we're talking about on the show.
Yeah, that is
cool.
Awesome.
Very cool. Can I ask a question about the video that you can link to? When I did my version of this atomization process, what I had in the front end of the pipeline is the creation of a low-res version, like smaller version of the full high-resolution video that we could download from Stream. We're in StreamYard, not Streamlabs.
One of those stream systems we've used in the past.
In this case, it seems like your references are back to the actual YouTube video.
They are.
Okay. Go ahead.
We have
what? Sorry.
Because it can use the timestamp to bring up the direct area of the YouTube clip and just start the YouTube clip directly at that time.
Yeah, but mine also brings up and brings you directly to the actual video, but it's on a version of the video that's available in Supabase, right? So, not on YouTube.
Okay. So when the live is done, we have an MP3 from the live. We all know but we all know this. Hello, everybody. StreamYard gives you a full MP3. That then goes to Scribe and gets word by word transcribed. Yeah, and then you can go directly back to the live stream. Can't go to the video, the produced video, because that's now offset from from what we have as the MP3, right, of the original live. But it can go back, and there is I will say that I will let the people know when I present on this sort of the back end. What that is doing is, I think, testing it, because they were offset before. But the other thing about this is that if you go back to the live, we're like talking so much about what's happening in the chat. I wanted people to be able to have a version that they could go back to and see what that chat was. And when the chat gets published, right, you guys live for us now, you will disappear for about 12 to 24 hours, and then you will live again. And if you go to the live, you can see what chat was happening. I wanted it to be able to be exact in terms of those times.
So one of the great advantages of having multiple people work on a project like this is you get these different branches that do things in a different way and could be dramatically different for different use cases. Right. So what I think I understand you to be doing now, Beth, is you're never actually downloading and hosting a version of the show. You're just referencing the YouTube video of the show. And I think that's brilliant, and it does make it. I guess if you're wanting, as in Brian's instance, you're wanting to generate a new publishable extracted clip or highlight reel of that sort of thing. You want to have a high res version of it that you're actually assembling from. But if you're just wanting to make this accessible to our audience and make it searchable, and with all those tools, your approach is right on. I really like that, and I want to steal that. For
we're merging it. It's Stone Soup over here at the Daily AI Show. We're all going to make a brilliant stew afterwards. What I would say, Andy, is I am trying to solve a problem slightly different than what Brian is trying to solve, which is I would love to give Opus Clips a condensed version of content that we think is good, right? Like we're delivering our show to Opus Clips. It's tossing out, like, I don't know,
stuff.
50 minutes of the show, right? Like,
Right.
and we can look at that and say, okay, those aren't going to be good clips. Like, there's a version of this where like these are things that we think are good content. This is going to be a wide shot because there's two people talking back and forth. This, we should go to Andy's clip or something like that. And then that can get messily put together. Then that can get delivered to Opus Clips. And now it's much more efficient.
Yeah, I think look, there's some version of this where it's this, you watch the right to YouTube, so you can just watch the timestamp. It comes in at the right timestamp, right? That's that. And then yeah, is there some future of this where internally for us, could we then link those timestamps back to some high res and then pull it that way and have an automation that basically goes and does that? Probably at some point too, you could just say like, well, if I'm holding the data, it can always go get it, right? And that solves that problem. That's how I've sort of been doing it, is like, well, it's always better to own the data, so own all of it, right? That's sort of like when I think about Project Bruno and stuff. It's like, yeah, well, you'll always own it. That's never going to go away. So as the AI gets better, you'll only be able to do more with it, versus if you started with some other service, you may lose that. So anyway, I think it's awesome. I think it's great, Beth. This is something that we've been asking, and I kind of showed it in I'm glad you kept running with it, because I was kind of like squirrel, and then I was like, oh, I could do this other thing over here, and I started working on Project Bruno, and I admittedly left the Daily AI Show website, which I had started, and started moving towards something else. But this is something that I think will be just so cool to have. And it's just such a nice way to interact with the show. And honestly, once this all gets up and running, there's going to be some really cool ways that this interacts with the newsletter. I think there's going to be some really cool ways that this turns into net new content, even if early on that's not like clips, but because what it did for us is it brought some stuff together that one of us decides to pop on and do a new video about and just talk about. But we have this like nice little like, oh, Andy said this, and then Beth said this on this day, and then Carl said this, and I'm just talking about that. Yeah, that's not like go do the clips for me. But if you set me up for that, and I have all this awesome stuff I can share with nice little like graphical quotes, or Claude Code, we can animate it and do all these things. Now I actually kind of have a cool one shot plus share my screen conversation that any of us could decidedly pop onto and do a new video about. That's still new content, but we've just set ourselves up in a way to be able to talk intelligently and know that I could quote Andy, or I can bring that into the conversation because of what you built. So I think there's a lot of cool things here.
Right. And thank you. One of the things that people are starting to say more to us, I know it was Jumi's vision in the beginning. I know that Anne has talked about it as well, that this show specifically is a time capsule, or not a time capsule, is an always on recording of what it was like to go through this.
Yeah.
And I am interested in that being easy to get pieces of. Right.
Oh yeah,
because
we're gonna package it and sell it to professors at colleges around the world so they can do courses on this, right?
Hey, this will be the counter, or like I don't know, the B-roll for Anthropic's, like where we just walking straight toward potential societal harm with our stuff. So that kind of stuff. I just feel like there's it's similar to Bruno, right? There's gold inside something that you can't get into, partly because you can't see it, and partly because you can't do anything with it once you see it. So.
Yeah, 100%.
Brian, where did the term Bruno come from?
We don't talk about Bruno. It comes from the movie Encanto, and there's a whole animated movie that was pretty popular. My daughter liked it, and there's a song. Bruno is a character in the thing, and he kind of lives in the walls of the magical house. Anyway, and there's a whole song. We don't talk about Bruno, so we just kept saying we don't talk about Bruno, and then I just shortened it to Project Bruno. So that's where that comes from. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And I have to drop. I don't know if you guys want to wrap it up, but I'm going to leave for our meeting. But I'll see you guys next week. Okay, bye everybody.
All right, thanks. Yay, Andy. So it's 11. I think we are going to wrap up. Do you have final things for the people?
I I have a bunch of little things. I'll just tease one up. There, I saw a video, and I can't show the video right now, but this is a centaur robot. Okay, so imagine you're somewhat disabled, or you can't carry heavy loads anymore, even light loads. Well, this thing, it basically attaches to your back like a backpack, but it's got legs behind you that follow you as you walk.
Does it have
And
4 legs? Why is it a centaur?
just 2. It's your legs plus the 2 behind you is the centaur, right? You are the centaur.
Oh, because it doesn't have a
see?
body. Got it. Okay.
It doesn't have a body. It just hangs on to your hips, basically, and adds legs behind and creates a platform that can carry a weight. And it automatically adjusts to whatever pace or terrain you're walking over. And the video, it's a Chinese thing. The video shows this centaur load-bearing assembly that's following behind you, easily navigating up steps as you walk up the steps.
Wow.
So if you want to carry something up the stairs, this centaur thing. Now it's really rudimentary at this point. It's going to get much better.
Right.
And you can imagine, for people who can no longer lift and carry, this would be an easy attachment. You just basically belt it onto your waist. You back up to it, belt it on, you load it up first, then belt it on, and then walk it around, and it carries things behind you.
Yeah. That is, like, I'm trying to think whether that would be helpful for me. I'm not sure it would be helpful for people with balance issues.
I think so, because it's adding legs behind you. You can lean against it.
Yeah, but that's not how we walk. We don't walk leaning
No, but if you fell backwards, if you lost your balance while walking, it's going to catch up to you, or it'll go back. Let me say this. I don't know that the instance that they've built can manage that, but you can see that it's not a terribly difficult thing once you have supporting legs that are following you automatically, that you could provide balance support to somebody who's walking.
I'm seeing a little more 3-legged race kind of thing than what Andy is seeing in terms of learning to use something like that as a balance assist. But I will say that I will also, Andy, I'll bring mine next week too. I will have to go back and find who did it, but it was it was like a robot wagon that you could say, "Follow me," right? Like you could push the button and it would just trail along behind you, right? Carry your tools. They were promoting, like, this can work in your workshop. This can work with your groceries. This can work with all kinds of things. So 4 legs are better than 2. I believe that in terms of dogs and cats. I am not sure I believe that in terms of humans. And also, Greg says he sells the things that I'm talking about. Nice. Okay. Woohoo. So I am going into the second half of the workshop that Every is hosting, getting us ready to produce production ready apps. And I may have an announcement next week. That atomization process that I'm doing for our show is something that I'm interested in doing for the other content that I consume. I also want to be able to talk back and forth in the middle of a podcast. It's Podcast Buddy, for podcast listeners who think out loud. So I'll let y'all know what's happening after that. Definitely open the newsletter when it arrives. Listen to Conundrum, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.